So today at OLPRO we're going to put up the Cocoon XL Breeze, but I mean this applies to any Cocoon Breeze as well. So if you've got one for a campervan or for a motorhome like this one, it all applies just the same. And a lot of this also applies to a lot of tunnel tents as well. They're all pretty much the same. And we might do it differently to you, but this is how we do it when we put them up.
So we'll start by unclipping the bag and opening the bag up. And within it you should have your awning, which will be rolled tight.
This one has been put up before, so yours might look a bit different when it comes out of the box.
And as we unroll it, you'll see that there's different components within it. So what we've got is a 2-litre pump, which is supplied. There is a valve for it as well, which will max out at 7 psi to stop overinflation. And then as well, you'll have your hose. You'll have your hose which ties in, which has got a range of valves on it, suitable for the valves on the beams. You'll also have 3 storm bars, each with valves on them. These go in between the beams to support it as brace beams. You'll have a bag of poles, which will have the poles needed to put the additional pod on the side, as well as 2 canopy poles. And you'll also have a bag of pegs and straps suitable for pegging down the awning, as well as your straps for throwing over your vehicle if you're attaching without a rail. On this one, I believe they are already attached to the awning.
So we're also going to put out a footprint ground sheet today as well, just to protect the bottom of the ground sheet. And obviously if the bottom of the ground sheet gets wet on the awning, it'll take a long time to dry, where we can just dry out the footprint at the end of the day. So that'll make it a lot easier for us. So Chris is going to put out the footprint ground sheet now.
A couple of pegs. So this is a additional separate purchase. It doesn't come with the awning, but it is available on our website.
You're going that way, aren't you?
And in each corner there will be a tab with an eyelet for you to run your peg through and peg out, like that. So that will give us a nice base now to put the awning up on. So what we'll start by doing is getting everything prepped. We'll start with the storm bars. So these have a Boston valve on them, which is one way, and it simply screws in into that channel there via a thread. So do that nice and tight, and then with your pump, what you want to do is screw it onto this valve here, like that, and then inflate. You can hear that the pump is blowing out the excess air to stop the overinflation. That's because we've hit the 7 psi. And then you just unscrew the pump, put the valve back on, And that's one down. So now I'll do the second one. Same process. Screw your valve on, attach the pump and inflate. And then finally the third one. Pump goes onto the valve, screws in, ready for you to start inflating. And that then is all 3 storm bars done. Ready just to insert into the awning once we've got that up. So this specific awning is our version 2. We've re-released it with loads of new features, new colourway and a new design on it.
I always put a big handful of pegs in my pocket so I don't get to a point and then think, oh no, I need a peg, and have to go back to the peg bag as well.
Handy little tip. Right, so what we start by doing is just pegging out the one corner at the back, like that, and then we peg the 4 corners out, which will give it enough tension. Peg just goes through the strap like that and into the ground at a 45-degree angle. We're quite lucky that the ground is very soft at the minute, so the pegs just go straight in, but on harder ground you might need to use a mallet. So Gareth's going to go around and peg in the rest of the pegs to peg the ground sheet down, and in the meantime I'm going to insert the valves into the beam so that they're ready for inflation. This awning has 3, so 3 main air beams, and then the 3 storm bars which we've inflated earlier will just go into the front bit to help support it. And again there's the second one. And it is handy just to do this before you start inflating, just so that you're not relying on someone else, or you can just put the pump straight in and inflate.
And while Chris is doing that, I'm opening all the doors to make sure it goes up easier and there's no vacuum holding the awning down when we inflate it.
If it's new out the bag, normally on the first time what we'll do is we'll open the door and we'll give it a shake just to put some air in it, so that, as Gareth says, there's no vacuum when we're lifting it.
So you would hold the front, grab it, and put plenty of air in it, and then it'll go up easier. And then always start on the front beam, because you're not holding all the canvas at the back, you're just holding the front part.
So like we did with the storm bars, the pump will attach to the beam.
And as Chris is pumping, I will hold the beam up and it will gently go up. And there you go.
So again, now I'm not sure if you heard, but you could hear the valve expelling the air after it had reached the 7 psi limit. So we will put the valve back on and then seal it to protect it using the zips on the side.
And then we just need to hold the front up with a couple of pegs. The front. Like so.
And that will support that for now. Once we move on to the second beam, again the same process of the valve, of the pump going onto the valve. Screw it on nice and tight and begin to inflate.
And then while Chris is doing that, I will go inside and lift the awning again to make the air go in the beams easier. Okay, that's all inflated.
Again, put the valve lid on and do the zips. And then we're on to the last one, which is at the back of the awning. So we screw the pump onto the valve.
And again, I will hold the awning up, helping the beam. Okay.
Brilliant. So that's all 3 beams up. Obviously now you can start to see it's taking a bit of shape. So on the inside, we now have to insert the storm bars. So the storm bars have got Velcro at the ends. Obviously, as these have been out there a bit dirty. But what you do is you come inside the awning and you'll find that on the front 2 beams there are these Velcro pads. So the storm bar simply Velcros in at one side, push the beam out the other side and Velcro it in, and then secure it in the middle with the strap that just goes round. And that's that in place. So as we've said, there's 3 storm bars for this part. If you want more security, you can buy optional extras which are designed to fit in the back side of the awning.
The V2 model.
On the V2 models, yeah.
Another important thing is to make sure that the awning's all square and not saggy, is to make sure the ground sheet's always flat. So there's no big creases in it. It should be flat. I mean, this is fine, but sometimes if you've pegged it out and you've not pegged it square, you'll get a big crease in the middle. And obviously you want to flatten that out, and that gives it its structure as well.
So if we come around this side of the awning, what we've got now is new on the version 2 Cocoon Breezes and on this XL. This is a side pod which we've designed to provide a canopy so that you can still access your side door without the water running straight off the top and getting you wet. So in the bag you will have some steel poles. You'll have a small one that curves like that, which is for the top, and then you'll have 2 uprights which will have a slight curve on them. So we'll take the smallest one and we will insert it through the pole sleeve on the side, like that. And then we will take one of the steel upright poles, and with that end, we simply push it in. And then down the bottom is a ring and pin, which is located at the foot of the pod. And the pin simply goes in the bottom like that. So I'm just going to do the same on the other side. Straight in like that. And the same at the base of the canvas, there's the ring and pin. And that just pops into the bottom like that. It will be a little bit tight once you've got the one side in, but they are designed to obviously go in.
At this point, what you want to do is also make sure that all your zips close properly. Make sure they're not too tight. If they are a bit tight, just adjust the pegs inside to make them looser.
Obviously, throughout the process of pitching, you'll need to open and close your doors at certain points, just to make the whole process a lot easier.
So that ran fine, it wasn't too tight. But if it is, just adjust the pegs at the side, bring them in slightly, and that'll loosen the zip off.
So coming back round to the side pod, we've got our pegs. What we will do now is peg it out. So at the bottom of the canvas are the elastic loops, which we'll just pull out and put a peg in, again at 45 degrees. Same again the other side. And then on the sides, there are plastic hooks, simply clipped to the pole to secure that in place. You will also want to put a peg through the ring at the bottom of the pole just to secure that in place. And you'll want to do that on both sides, just to secure it in place. Grab a handful more pegs. So, you then have these straps, which will come in the bag, but for the purpose of the video are already attached. And these again just add a bit of support and structure. So you want to put a peg through the strap, and then you can adjust it at the top to loosen it and tighten it. We recommend loosening it off before, and then you can tighten it. There's one on each side. We'll push in at a 45-degree angle, and again just make sure we clip the clips on. And then we've got guy ropes on the side just to provide a bit more tension to the side of the pod, which just come out almost as it runs along the seam. So where it's stitched, you want to run it off that angle. Put a peg in. Same again around this side. Wind's just picked up a bit. And then we can just run a peg in to secure that. Again, running it in line with how it is on the scene. So once all your doors are shut and you've pegged out the main body, what you will then need to do is peg out the rest of the supports, the rest of the storm straps and the guy ropes located around, and then at that point you are ready to attach it however you choose to your vehicle. So we'll just go around and attach all the guy ropes. Do you want to explain how those straps work, Gareth?
Chris has put a guideline in my way there. So these straps here are tension straps. Now you don't want to be pulling the awning over. They're not for that. They're only there for when, if it wants to push in, it holds it, like so. So a lot of people pull these as tight as they possibly can, like a ratchet strap, but they're not there for that. So what you do is they've got a loop at the bottom, and what you want to do is just make a triangle with them. So just peg this along the ground, like so, and then all you do, we've tied this one up before, is just pull it so it makes a triangle. So that's fine, no tighter than that. If you pull that like that, it will pull the beam out of shape and not give a proper structure.
So as we just go around the rest of the awning, we'll come round to this side, which obviously has the tunnel. Again at 45 degrees in line with the seam, you can see it runs out. And again, we just want to make sure that these aren't pulling on the actual beams, that they're just supporting them, as Gareth has mentioned. There we go, and then just tension it, like so.
And then when Chris has done the last strap there, we'll go inside and we'll show you how to put the inner tent in on this model as well.
There we go.
So this is the Cocoon inner tent. It's a 5-person inner tent, a 3 in one side and then a 2 in the other, with the zip divider in the middle, and it's made from the darkened material so you get a better night's sleep in the morning when the sun comes up. So to put it in, you always start at a corner, and this is the same for any tent or awning. You find the corner piece, because if you don't, you end up putting it all in and you've missed one of the rings. So you get that, and they'll have a buckle, and you put it into the corner and then clip in. And then what I do is always do the back first, and then, so you go to the middle one, put that one in, and then go to the other corner, find your other corner piece and put that one in, like so. Now you get into putting the loops and toggles in. So these look like this, and all they do is they go through the loops. So make sure you've started on the first toggle and the first loop. So make sure there's no more down there, which there isn't. This is the first one. And you just push them through, and that's it. And then that holds that in on an elastic. Then go to the next one, make sure you've not missed one. Go to the next one. Then the next one. I'll stop saying that. Then you've got a clip. Another clip, just to give it a bit more support in the middle. And another toggle. And another one. Okay, so that's that beam done. And then you move to the front. So you pull this one forward, clip it in behind the beam. And again, this now goes around the beam on the toggles. And then you got a clip, another clip. Nearly missed one then. And then finally you've got the other clip behind the beam again. And these I've got adjusters on just to tighten them. It's a bit loose in the tent. And you will also have, depending on the size of the inner, with this one being a 5, you've also got a toggle in the middle as well. There you go. That's how to put the inner tent in.
So now that we've got the awning up, what we're going to do is attach the van. This specific van hasn't got a rail, so we're going to use the throw over straps. So we drive the van onto the pitch and get it as close to the tunnel as it needs to be. It may take a few attempts, but once we got it lined up, we'll throw the straps over and get it pegged in. Attaching the tunnel to this van using the strap method because it's not got an awning rail. If you did have an awning rail, you can use different methods, but we're going to go for the strap on this one. So we're going to take a peg and peg out the bottom of the tunnel. And then with the strap, we're going to clip it into the top here, like so. Get a bit of a tension, and then I'm going to pass that over to Gareth, who's going to take it around the van and peg it.
And then I'm just going to pull it out, give it a lot of tension so it pulls the roof of the tunnel up, and then peg it out like so. Okay. So all our awnings fit different height bands. So to do this, the tunnel is elasticated here, and you've got an adjuster at the top. So by pulling the adjuster, it takes out the excessive slack on the tunnel and just tightens it up.
So now we've thrown the rest of the straps over, the tunnel is now attached. We've gone ahead and opened the doors, which you've got on both sides of the tunnel. So you obviously can access inside your van and through your awning without having to go in through the front door every time. The door itself has got the fly mesh on it. We've opened that up, so now you've got your nice spacious tunnel. All of the windows come with a fly sheet cover and zips, which can be unzipped and rolled so you can see out your PVC window. The best way to do this is to take it and fold it into the middle, like so, and then begin to roll it nice and tight, right the way in. And then you'll see that there are loop and toggles for you just to clip that in place there, and again in place there, giving you a full view out your window. And then obviously you've got your zips if you want it back up. So what we do have on the side is vents, obviously to help ventilation and reduce condensation. So what you want to do is you just want to make sure that they're all open. They're Velcro tabs on the inside, and they have a connector that just tabs on like that. Prise it open, and then if you look inside, you can see that there's the vent, and this will act as a rain guard to stop water from going in, keeping you properly ventilated and reducing your condensation.